Welcome to Raiders of the Lost Podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast.
We're your hosts, James
and Anthony.
This episode will be about Severance with special guests Waving the Red Flag podcast.
Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to the show. We are very excited to talk about one of the best shows of 2022, Apple TV's Severance.
I love this show so much. We're also joined by Waving the Red Flag podcast, Eddie, Alvin, Josh. Welcome to the show. How you guys doing?
What's good? I'm excited to listen to talk about this shit.
Do that over again, Eddie.
Eddie, I'm gonna.
Hey, you're doing great. You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
If y'all can fumble words, I can fumble words. How about that?
You have never fumbled a word. This is the second time. This is the second time you've ever fumbled a word, bro.
You're not finna call me on word fumbles. All right. I get to. If you get to do some, I get to do some.
The only reason I'm calling you out on Eddie is because you are literally the most articulate motherfucker ever.
You were supposed to be the best of us.
You are the most articulate person I know, and when you fumble words,
that's
I'm gonna call that shit out.
respectability politics, bro. You gotta let me be regular. You know what I'm saying? Damn, sorry, we fucking up y'all's podcast already.
No, you're doing great. Well, welcome to the welcome to the show, guys. So, Severance was created by Dan Erickson, directed by Ben Stiller and Aoife McCarty. Apple TV, I think it's their best original property. It has 14 Emmy nominations. In its first season, we will be spoiling stuff in this episode, so I recommend if you want to listen to this, go watch this season first because it's tremendous. Now, a quick synopsis for the show. A technology corporation, Lumon Industries, uses a severance medical procedure to separate the non-work memories of some of their employees from their work memories. One severed employee, Mark, gradually uncovers a web of conspiracy from both sides of the division, and I personally, this is my favorite show of the year so far for 2022. Loved it.
What do you guys think?
I thought it was great. When you said it was directed by Ben Stiller, I remember looking up the details about it and being like, first of all, Ben Stiller's doing an amazing job, but two, like the story of the guy who wrote it was like he didn't seem to have any like Hollywood connections or anything. He was just like he just wrote a fire-ass television screenplay or whatever it's called, and it was just like, yo, do y'all want this? And Ben Stiller was like, yeah, I'll make this shit. And
word for word, verbatim.
Best come-up story ever.
Yeah.
Like, he was like working at McDonald's or some shit. It was just like, yeah, I made a TV show. And
that's how it happens. Yeah, it happens like that sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you come up with a great idea.
Like already a phenomenal director.
He is good.
Yeah, he's all around. I mean, Tropic Thunder is a great movie. Zoolander is great. We actually did a Ben Stiller spotlight and Patreon talking about his great career. He's just one of the best entertainers and filmmakers and producers of the 21st century, especially with comedy. Very few people have ever been able to do what he's done with the comedy realm.
This is his most mature thing behind the camera, though, because obviously he's made so many comedies, but he does direct really well. He always had. And his directing is very strong. Visuals, he shoots great cinematography. Even in like Tropic Thunder, has great cinematography. Walter Mitty was a step up, but this is his most visually stunning thing he's done. There's a lot of intention and detail and things he's doing with the camera work, with the set design, with the cinematography and the lighting. I think he's just being able to stretch his wings and just really do whatever he wants as a director. He's at the top of his game right now.
The design on the show is like wild. Like just the way the office is like, because I feel like everything is as people who have maybe worked in some kind of office thing, there's so much of it that I'm like, the idea of like these droning hallways that go to fucking nowhere and all these little like bullshit swag that you have, like pens and fucking finger traps and all this bullshit is like, that's pretty fucking realistic, and it really fucking drives in like what it is to be in that environment.
And I think ultimately it's go ahead, guys.
I think it's a little dated. But what I love about Severance is that I think the show knows 100% what it is. So when I'm looking at that, a lot of the decisions that they make are seem 100% intentional, and they're semi-tongue-in-cheek, and I 100% love that shit. Because like the offices being what they are is like a very intentional decision. Like it's not supposed to be like a Google open access.
It's super high tech. Yeah.
It's supposed to be what it is, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, okay. Like this show has an identity that I like fuck with.
What's really amazing about the show, the show is like such a great metaphor of, first of all, it's a brilliant concept to be able to separate your memories at work to your public outside of work, and what a terrific concept.
The paycheck.
Oh yeah, that's actually the same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah, it is the same thing. Ben Affleck all day. What translates for me in the show is that is used as a metaphor of people getting trapped within their own prisons and their own hells in their life and being stuck at a job for 30 years that you hate, and it creates this like you're trapped in a hell 8 hours of the day, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you're just stuck there. You can't get out unless you want to have struggle to survive. I mean, you have to pay rent, you need food to survive. So a lot of people can get stuck in like their own personal prisons, and I think that this show translates that really beautifully in such a terrific way.
It's so fascinating that you have two identities, two personalities. Are there two souls in each one of these people? Where Mark, when he's trapped at work, and everyone else, they're a different human being, a different soul, different consciousness versus being back in the real world. And the thing with being trapped at work, they never leave. It's a purgatory. They are always there their entire existence.
I didn't think it had like a different soul per se, but it was just showed the difference of like how different you might act in work versus your normal life. Because
there's the work self and the life self. Yeah,
you have like your work self that you go into, like, because you're always like a little bit, well, most people like you might be like a little bit more, be a little bit more professional. Like you have to, survive by these what's the word I'm looking for?
Rules and norms.
Yeah, the guidelines or the rules like within the office or whatnot. But then you have like your full free self that's on the outside, or when you're just like in your own downtime. So like I think it just really did a good job of exploiting like how different we are in our work life versus our private life, and then just showing that if that was just your life, point blank period.
I would look at it now as souls. It's just two halves of the brain, and you're splitting up where the memory bank is.
Heli are. Like, I thought that the way they did her character was great, because you separated this person into two people who are so separate that they hate each other. That they're not like two different parts of the same person. They're like, if you were to strip away all of your privilege, all of your wealth, all of your experience and memory, you wouldn't even like who you are. Yeah. Like, if you placed your actual spirit in the position of being an oppressed any or whatever, you would be your biggest fucking nightmare.
Yeah, Office Heli. Yeah, Heli is like an example of like if she grew up in a decent environment with a decent family, and then that's who her personality is. Because when you're put into the office, you're basically a reset from nothing, and then you have like you have knowledge, you know how to do things, and you know what things are, but you don't have your memory bank. So you basically, it's like a reset, and you create new memories for that person. But I don't look at it as two souls. I look at it as the same individual, but when you have a different set of memories, that makes it a different like personality. And so I think it's just like the memory bank is split in two, and that's how I like to look at it.
But what's going to happen, let's say,
soul
in the future, because I love how this show, we still don't know what's going on. We don't even know what they're doing at Lumon. We don't know anything, which is such a great, yeah.
And I wanted to know at the end.
And
I wanted to know.
Finale, the twist at the end, the finale was phenomenal.
Oh,
I screamed.
The pacing on it was crazy.
I screamed,
when I found
"Fuck
out
you,
that
Apple!" Oh my god!
I know. I was so pissed.
I screamed, "Fuck you, Apple!" at the end of the episode. I swear to God, it was that good. But the concept of what the hell was I just saying?
Separate minds?
Separate minds. So let's say in the future, you know how the innies were in the outside world. What happens if the severance procedure is eliminated? Does one consciousness disappear, or do they morph into one consciousness?
Or is it like Get Out?
Or is it, yeah, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Is someone going to be
You'd have to
trapped?
reintegrate.
Mm-hmm.
They was exactly. They detailed that with what happened to
Petey.
That's right, Petey. Yeah.
Yeah, and like because like,
eventually they'll combine, they'll mesh. Yeah.
But then it's like you'll have two personalities. You'll be like split personality.
Well, no,
almost.
it wouldn't be two personalities. It would be your memories. It would be like if you forgot it's like if I got in a car accident and then for like 2 years I couldn't remember anything, but then my memories came back.
But there's been no successful reintegration with a Lumon employee.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what would happen.
Do it, though.
Has there?
Yeah.
Because
There
Petey
has-
didn't even have a doctor. He was with a pocket knife in an alley.
But the thing, like, I forget the doctor's name, but like she said, like she spoke as if there was a successful.
She did,
reintegration.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
She might have been reintegrated.
You know, actually,
Because the
maybe-
reason why
that
Petey
she was
died
like working on
because-
it in the cut.
He wasn't
Maybe-
doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, maybe Miss Cobell and
Yeah.
maybe the Lumon employees that know what like they get to be themselves in and outside of work. Maybe they've had the reintegration. And they
No,
were,
I doubt.
maybe.
I think they've been. They're
I
just
think
part
they're
of
just
the.
not severed.
Yeah, they're part of the
They've never
Egon
been severed.
Yeah.
group and
Yeah.
community. Yeah, they've never been severed.
Just
Because
saying
the whole
possibility. Vulnerability.
as like this oppression metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if in the future, with reintegration, the way I look at it is if like I said, if I got in a car accident and I couldn't remember anything for like 2 years, but then all of a sudden my memories from the past came back, I'm not like two people. I just get my old memories back. That's I think how integration works.
I feel like it's too powerful of a consciousness for a brain to handle. I think you'd go insane.
Well, it's because the interactions in their environments and what they're doing are so different.
I'm with Eddie. It feels
Yeah.
like two souls.
What was old boy's name?
Irving.
Christopher Walken's character.
Oh
Bert,
yeah, no, Bert.
for
That's
so long,
Bert.
It's like you've
Yeah.
Bert, you've created a completely different personality. Like, and this is something that I
But
love.
he actually is still he's gay in the real world, so he's still the same person.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Wait,
I was-
what do you mean?
I thought that was gonna be something
Like, of course he's
that
still
he
gay.
wasn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
If he
like
was
this-
straight
it's
in the
still
real world
same-
but only gay at the
Yeah.
office,
Yeah.
that would be hilarious.
That's what I mean. I think that's proof that it's really the same person. It's just like their experiences and memories are really what's changing them.
That's what I thought was so interesting about it, because I felt like okay, so maybe we mean different things when we say like different person, because I thought that such a great illustration of this, of like, because we've seen so many of these like ultimate split personality kind of, like the Hulk is that, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was like probably the earliest example of that. Moon Knight does the similar thing. Fight Club, obviously. But what I loved about this one is that they do this. You don't lose time in between the switches. So when Heli R is like trying to leave the office, she instantly is entered back into it. So her mind can't even exist outside of the confines of the office. And from her subjective space, she has no access to what it is to be the Heli R of the outside world. So that's a different person. Like, they have the same building blocks in the same way that you have the same building blocks as like your dad or your mom, but from their experience of what it is to be a person, I'm a totally separate person. Nothing that he does. I don't have a child. I don't have memories of this. I don't have any of his knowledge. I don't have any control over this body outside of these hours. That's a different person to me, just in the same body.
I think that the issue for me with this particular facet of the conversation is I think we're overweighting the work experience. So like, if we're reintegrating that, how much?
It's probably not that much, yeah.
How much are you really integrating? How much is that work experience in that environment really going to change you as an Audi? Like how,
You have
like
to
how
think
much?
about how much time
they're
you
not
spend
doing
just
the shit
thinking
ton.
about shit, though. Yeah, but
I agree. I agree.
Know how much time you're just spending in your own head.
It's
I'm
still,
not saying
yeah,
it's zero.
Still 8 hours a day. Still 8 hours a day, which is half of your
Yeah, I'm not
consciousness.
saying it's zero. It's not a
But it's
zero
not as
sum.
much as
I'm just thinking like it's not like they were. It's not like even they were doing like the world's most complex job. Like, at least as
they
we
were pretty much
understand it right
chilling.
now. Yeah. So it's
What are they even doing?
They
I
were
love-
even working.
I
half
love
the
we
time.
don't even know what they're doing. I have no idea.
yeah.
But like
But
the thing
they
about
were
that
just
is,
chilling
like,
mostly.
they also, I think like the one of the main reasons why there was like such a difference in personality. Well, I don't necessarily want to say there's such a huge difference in personality, but they started off basically a blank slate, just on a table, like a feral animal.
Where am
like
I?
just
Yeah.
where am I? Like, here's your job. Oh no, you agreed to do this. You
Wait,
want to.
when did I start existing?
Here's your job.
Who,
Here's
who
the
am
course.
I?
Exactly. Like, this is your identity that we're sculpting within the confines of our corporate structure. So I think that was like really the biggest part of why there was such a duality between like some of their personalities.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's so shocking because Heli's like, there's no way that my Audi in the real world will want me to be here. I just have to make the video.
And then when you finish the season, then you really understand that.
It's just you don't even know yourself really, because
Yeah.
maybe you get just changed so much. It's like nurture versus nature, like who you are as a person from base level to compared to being raised by Egon, the leader of the Lumon Industries and everything like that. So I think that concept with Heli and the refusal to want to be there, the attempted suicide, it's such a contrast to herself in the real world. Whereas Mark, he's part of a severed program where you actually empathize why he's there because of the tragedy of his wife being killed in the car accident, and he just doesn't want to think about it. He's trying to half his consciousness. Let's say you're at work for 8 hours, you're outside the world for 8 hours, then you're asleep for 8 hours. Half your consciousness, he doesn't have to think about it anymore. So you understand that why that happens for him, why people like him do it. But for her, it's just so crazy how different her personality is to who she could have been as a human being.
Heli's storyline is really, really what sold me on the show. I think one of the most powerful moments of the entire show is when she gets the video from her Audi, and the video of her says, "You're not even a person. You do what I say. This is my body. and she's like she threatens her, and I was like, holy crap, unbelievable.
Two souls, yeah.
Yeah. But and then showing the sequence of her Audi experiencing the innie trying to escape, and then she's talking to Milicic when she's outside, and he's like, hey, you're a real rambunctious one. That's when the show really became special for me. I was like, this is absolutely amazing. And you're beginning to understand why the innie Heli never saw the stairwell. She only ever saw the hallway because, like you said, she has no ability to experience outside of that wall. And I thought it was just like a stunning piece of the series that really sold me, really made me understand what was going on and how the technology worked. And it wasn't spoon-feeding the audience. It was showing us with action rather than explaining.
We were learning as the character learned.
It's not like someone was like, oh, if she goes out there, then they won't realize, and then she goes back in. They weren't explaining it with a person using dialogue. Yeah, just action. And that's really great storytelling.
I
What I
actually
really
didn't
love-
understand that part. Well, yeah. That
Oh, there you go. Well then,
Yeah.
yeah. So does it kind of like click like how it's like for her you leave and instantly you're back within the space
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
your
get
brain
that,
skips
but-
consciousness.
Yeah, I get that, but it's just like when she. Oh.
So the innie,
I might have got.
So
Wait, hold on.
yeah,
Let's see if we can.
They only exist at Lumon.
Yeah,
They
it's-
only
yeah.
exist there. They don't sleep. They you know.
it's
what
the
I
same
mean?
thing as the elevator. When they get in the elevator and it's like the workday's over, the next second for them, they're opening the elevator and the next
They're
workday
back. There
starts.
is no sleep.
So that's how the stairwell worked. Yeah.
But Josh has a question because I think
Okay.
maybe the audience might have a similar one. What were you?
Okay, so but with the stairwell, it's the
Yeah.
same thing. Like even if you go out into the stairwell,
She has no memory of it. So
she has no
once,
memory,
yeah,
but she still
yeah.
has to go. Oh,
So,
so when she
yeah,
goes
yeah.
back
There's a
to when she's
scene,
in the stairwell,
yeah.
she's going. She just willingly goes
Yeah.
back in the office.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
because it's
so
now
in- yeah.
it's now her Audi again.
Yeah. So when Innie crosses the door, Audi takes over. And then when Audi goes back inside, then Innie takes over. So Innie only ever experiences inside the hallway.
I guess it was kind of confusing because like she came back in with the same veracity that she left. So it's like her Audi is rushing back
Yeah.
in,
Pushing her in
Yeah.
exactly.
Each time, yeah.
Exactly.
It's like the subway tunnel
But
in the Matrix Reloaded when he runs through the tunnel and
Yeah.
then he comes back on the other side. It's kind
Yeah,
of like
exact
that.
same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Milchek was like, you should just, she's a little bit rambunctious, but
Yeah.
just get in there. And so
Get
she's
in there,
like, okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna,
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
it's like, from the Innie's perspective, your body is constantly being forced back into consciousness as you try and leave. But
Yeah.
that's what I loved about Heli R is that I felt like she was like this metaphor for, like, you know how you can sort of be alienated from other similarly like fucked up workers? Like you could be working at McDonald's and then when you go to Starbucks, you're still shitty to that barista. Like even though y'all are in a similar position.
Yeah.
But then they just reduce that down into like, what if the person that you were shitting on and oppressing within like a labor structure was your own self? Like you were so divorced that you were like, my own self who has every single feeling of me and is suffering deeply, I still manage to not give a fuck because it makes me money. Like I'm making a slave out of myself and I'm legally allowed to do it, which is wild. Like, cause there's no laws. It's Wild West. Like, oh, you're not a real person, which Heli R is right. Like if there were ethical laws, you would be like the Innie would have their own legal rights separate from the Audi, but they don't, which is crazy.
And Heli also represents the workforce who are they hate their job, they think it's hell, but they can't escape. She represents that, whereas Mark S represents someone. Yeah, Mark S represents like, I don't love my job, but you know what? It's better than nothing, and I just make the best. I make do. But Heli's like, I can't do this, but I can't get out.
That's the other issue is like without integration, quitting is death. So that's kind of, so I understand where a character like Mark is coming from because it's like I only exist as a slave. To exit slavery is to die. That's the only way out of here. So
And then Irving's a person who embraces the workforce. He embraces.
he's like, I love
He
it.
embraces the structure. He embraces the hierarchy.
I probably would do the
Yeah.
same. Because honestly, like you're not finna go nowhere. I might as well make like either kill yourself or make peace.
If that's all you know, and that's all you know.
Yeah.
But he was the one that was having the most psychoschematic episodes out of all of them.
I think that yeah.
Embraced it the most.
I think those are side effects of having the severance for so long, because he has it the longest.
a little bit older
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his Audi. I guess so,
His
but
Audi
his
is-
Audi
his
was
His
Audi
Audi.
is more rebellious.
Yeah. But also his Audi
That's the
seems to
interesting
have.
bit. He's
yeah.
like the flip of Heli R.
But also his Audi's like he seems to have something not quite right about him because he keeps making that same painting of the hallway over and over and over and over again.
And he also knows about Bert.
Yeah.
So like, how does his Audi know about
No.
Bert?
Well, he found out
His
about
Audi
Bert
is on
after.
some rebel shit.
It's in his it's on his
Oh,
map.
it's in his map.
It's
Yeah.
on
So,
his map.
so
Bert's
I
on
think the
his map.
memories of the office memories are bleeding into Irving's mind and maybe making him a little nuts.
That's
It's
because they say that's
subconscious,
why you're
yeah.
not allowed to sleep. Remember, they said like the reason you're not allowed to sleep is that it bypasses the severance process if you sleep.
Oh, when he sleeps while working. Yeah.
And he keeps falling asleep, and so
Yeah.
his
Right.
memories are bleeding through to his Audi through that,
Yeah.
and that's how he has the
shit,
window
yeah.
and all that kind of shit.
That's why he gets in trouble for taking naps.
Exactly. That's why they're like, "Yo, wake up, wake up."
I missed that. Yeah.
Memories are bleeding through, which is some crazy shit. But
Damn.
yo, the
Details.
that birth subplot is crazy. Yeah, the details on the show are crazy
Yeah.
because it's like
Yeah.
it's so many little things like that they But yo, that little birth subplot is crazy because now I'm thinking, if I'm understanding it right, that woman was severed for her own birth, and so when she met old girl out in public, she didn't know her because only her innie knew her. And I'm like, yo, the level of oppression you could create with severance is like you could have an innie whose whole life is nothing but the suffering of your life, waiting in line, childbirth, jury duty, going to work, and so their whole existence is just for 20 straight years, no sleep, no joy, no children, no candy, nothing, just all the worst parts of your life. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, I wonder what that. Yeah. That's terrible. It's horrible.
But here's my thing, right? I would be worried from the outset, like before I fully understand, like the corporate implications, all that kind of bullshit. I would be worried as an innie if I left that, like, I as a separate entity would die. Like, what? Because, like, they hinted this thing. It's like, oh, like in the first episode, it's like, if your outside person didn't want to do this, they could just stop fucking coming. Like, you could just not
right.
exist
So every day
tomorrow.
you leave the office,
So
you're
every
like,
day
you might
you
never
leave,
come back.
you think that you're a separate person.
Right.
Are you
Yes.
killing yourself by leaving here? Every time like
Yeah.
you step into that fucking elevator, it's like I could
They
potentially
might
this could be
change their
my,
mind.
like, yeah.
Last day.
Well, the way I look at it is when you get on the elevator, time never stops for the innies. And the way I would look at it is if like a person unsevered themselves, the innie wouldn't die. Their memory would blend together with the Audi's memory to form that one person.
What Alvin's saying is like, would you? Yeah, I'm sorry.
If you remove the chip or they turn it off, the innie's memories never get reintegrated because that's why reintegration doesn't exist. Like it would be illegal for you to have access to those memories. Like,
But
similar to
isn't that what the doctor did with PD though? Integrating both memories.
that's an illegal process. So that's
Yeah.
like if you were to get reintegrated.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Lumen,
Oh, so you're saying the Lumen way is they just keep that half the memory gone.
forever gone.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so Alvin is saying every time
yeah.
you walk out of the office, that might be the last time you walk out of the office because
and you cease to exist.
work today and be like, oh, you know what? Maybe I quit Lumen, and you just never wake up again.
Never exist again.
yeah.
Which is pretty fucking scary.
And
that's,
they're aware of that. And they're aware of that. They know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like it's not like that's a secret.
But my thing is like, how do
But I
they
feel like going to
go
sleep is
about
like that anyway.
quitting? Like, if the Audi actually does want to quit,
You can't quit.
Yeah, you can't.
the Innie can't.
Oh,
but
yeah.
what if the Audi actually did want to quit?
Right, but the Audi can, yeah.
And then the reintegration process.
It's like how Bert did. That's how Bert did.
Like Bert. Yeah. I just
basically do an announcement and say to your innie, hey,
Yeah.
you're about to die tomorrow, and then that's it.
so they leave
I
the
thought
they.
Bert was forced to quit because Bert
Nah,
was.
I think it was just
I
timing.
thought he was forced to quit. Mhm.
I think he was coerced. I think he was coerced to do it.
I think he was asked to step down in
Yeah.
the outside world.
Yeah.
And so what happens? I think my guess is that they just leave the chip in, and then when you retire, your chip's still in your head, and that's what keeps the severance. You're still deactivated.
But to go on what Alvin was saying, wouldn't it be crazy to like be an innie and let's say you leave work one day and your guy or your girl, your Audi took like a 3-year hiatus. And then you come back, you a second later you're back and you have lived 3 years of life, 4 years of life or whatever.
Your
arbitrary
body
number.
is all old and shit.
But to your mind, time has not.
the blink of an
not
eye.
a second
Yeah.
has passed into your any perspective, which is a wild concept to think of. I think.
True.
See, that's an idea that it really reminded me of this book by Greg Egan called Permutation City, where he kind of like talks about what happens if you're a program, like if your mind is a program, like in the Matrix, that if you turn a computer off and then turn it back on and its clock hasn't changed, it doesn't perceive the gap between that, and you can make that gap as big as you want. So from an innie's perspective, an innie only dies if they're never turned on ever again. But if you're turned off for 5 years, it's just a time skip, and it doesn't feel like death. So you would have that difficult situation, but you just be like, oh no, it's fine. So that's another horror thing that could happen. That maybe you walk out of work for the last time ever, or maybe you walk out of work and come back 10 years later, or some crazy shit like that.
It happened, but like it was just for a day when Mark called out sick. He didn't realize he called out sick. His innie didn't realize he called out sick the day before.
Right.
And I love how he describes like you how do you know when you've like come back to work? It's like, oh, you might feel a little more energized, and I don't know, you might have like you might taste mint from your toothpaste or whatever. So like that's how you know you like woke up or you went to bed and you're back at work. Just the feeling of it.
Or Mark having red eyes.
Yeah.
Because you've been crying or some shit.
Yeah.
Man, imagine somebody just using your body like that for like 16 hours of, is that math right? 16 hours of the day.
Yeah.
Like before you come into work, and they just whatever they decide to do. If they decide to get a tattoo or whatever, that's just, I guess I got a tattoo now, you know?
It's scary. I mean, yeah, exactly. So what if they change outside and in the way they worship their Audis, and they hope they like are.
They like to listen to, you know, in the with the what's it called, that room where they list off great qualities that their Audi has to them as a way of relaxing them, and
the relaxation room,
relaxation room. It's so messed up. That's how like to them, like an Audi is kind of like maybe a godlike figure. It's the person who's really in charge.
It's the worship
of,
of your oppressor, man.
Yeah.
Bro, everything's connected, dog. Everything's connected. Like you're separated from the worker, but the worker is worshiping the person who's oppressing him, which is the Audi.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Everything that's horrible happening to the innie is what the Audi is deciding to do to them. But which Heliar makes it a little bit more clear.
Yeah. But like Irving's proud to hear like these great qualities about his Audi, and he's like, you see, and she's like, you can't show any emotion, and then he's trying to hold back his smile, listening to like, your Audi is a good swimmer,
and they're lies, complete lies.
Yeah, absolute lies.
Yeah,
right.
Audi loves to pet dogs, and dogs love
Yeah.
Many
How
people.
extreme can you take the lies? You know what I'm saying?
It depends on the
Audi is
innie.
5-time NBA champion LeBron James.
I actually.
He hates practice. That's why he's severed.
Exactly.
I actually really enjoy how banal all of the things are that they said. Like, none of them were like, he's a great. It was like, he always pays his taxes on time, and children love the sound of his.
But that's the whole point.
He can make a tent. He can put up a tent very quickly. Like, it was just stupid little bullshit.
No,
it's like, but to an innie, it's like, oh, he's a full
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah, the most trivial of things are the most extraordinary of things to an innie.
To an innie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the gifts that they give to the innies, or look at the food that they serve to the innies. Like, it's all extremely mundane. Like,
melons.
Yeah, right.
Finger traps are like the greatest thing you get. A finger trap. Like, you get so excited just to win one of those things.
75 points, baby.
I got 75.
Those waffle parties look pretty lit, though. I want a waffle party. This
You're right.
lit.
It is very good.
It's very 90s office, man.
Well, in the computers,
Waffle parties,
version of
pretzel
this, though.
party, you know.
Yeah.
the design of
I'd
everything
love to see them do
too.
it Google style.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But the design itself, the white walls, it's sterile, like Josh just said. But the green
Mechanical
floors,
keyboards.
the keyboard, the computer that doesn't exist
I love the keyboards.
outside of Lumon, or you've never seen anywhere. It does. It looks like kind of like those
The
old
program,
Apple desktops, but like retro, like 80s software, and the big ass keyboards, and you have no idea what the hell they're doing. But they are feeling out like the coding, or like they're feeling something out to dump, and it's just like, what is that?
Like, the
I wonder
numbers
if it is
scare
anything.
you.
I think
It's gotta be.
They make you feel different things.
I think it's nothing. I think
I could see it being nothing.
I think Lumen's product is Severance.
Severance. It's all a test.
I think
Test subjects.
all of
Yeah.
this is test
It's all
subject
test.
for Severance.
I think they actually might be killing people. I think that's why some of the numbers are scary.
Ooh.
Sex slaves. It's sex slaves.
It's sex like it's Handmaid's Tale. They control the Handmaid's Tale from Severance.
TS motherfucking A.
It's sex slaves.
The greatest crossover since Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. Like,
Turns out,
there's
oh,
never
shit.
been a mashup of this magnitude. Fucking Severance
There's-
and Handmaid's Tale.
Damn, who would have thought?
I think that 7 looks like it might be a gender traitor. That doesn't feel quite right.
Yep, nope.
Murder. Jesus.
Get her
That's
out of
that.
there.
But there it is something though. It is something because we see how
'Cause they
they
can feel
interpret we see their interpretation of the numbers, and the numbers seem to move.
And there's a reason
It
why
could be their own
Dylan's,
thoughts or something.
There
Dylan's
is
the best
something.
at it. Dylan's the best at it.
It might have
and
something to do with the chip inside their brain.
maybe.
It has.
Like, it might
must.
just be feedback data from their
Yeah,
own chip. that
it
they're,
must
You know,
be.
like, oh, that's my own memory of my 7th grade birthday
Could- yeah,
party that
yeah.
traumatized me or some shit.
It could be in a hallucination that is just part of the technology.
Yeah.
I
What's
hope
the
it's not a
goats?
hallucination. I hope it's not that. That's like the cheapest fucking cinema plot in like the
Wait,
world.
which?
I hope the
Like,
numbers
if
are
anything, it's just a
something.
hallucination.
I hope the numbers are something.
No, yeah.
I think
he's
they
just
are,
saying
but-
just the numbers.
Because there was, if I'm not mistaken, there was one part in there that said, "What doesn't Lumen make?" There was, "Oh, that's made by Lumen too." Like I think they. Make
Oh,
a
right.
lot
They're
of
like a
stuff.
big super company.
They're like
Yeah.
Umbrella Corporation.
They've
Yeah,
been
they're-
around
they're
since
like-
the
yeah.
1800s.
Right.
They're a huge corporation. Yeah.
Surely Severance
Yeah,
is
for
the product
sure.
because you could sell if you could, patent that and sell it to every company. People would, because you could use it for. I mean, like they said, the
To
wealthy
Eddie's-
people
no,
are
to
using
Eddie's
it for
point.
their birthing shit.
Yeah, to Eddie's point, like you just skip every like quote unquote bad moment of your life. Like you have an app and you're like, fuck it, I don't want to wait in line. Boom, Severance.
Boom.
But the problem with that is if it's an option, if it's a manual thing, is there like a time limit? Because the any is not going to turn it
You would
off
have to
for
put a timer
themselves.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to have a
He's not gonna
timer.
Turn you back on.
He's like, they're going to smash that phone. You know, it's so.
That's such a good point. That's
Yeah,
such a good point. You would need
they're-
a timer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, imagine looking at your phone and being like, wait, why did he just turn this on for an hour? And then you like
Yeah.
look in the room and it's like, I don't know, you're like in a cage match or some shit. Fuck, like this is gonna be the next hour of my life. Because you just you be constantly waking up in horrible situations for your whole life. Like, oh shit, I'm pregnant. When did that happen? Fuck. Like, okay.
But it could have a disastrous effects on society because obviously we learned that Egon's plan is to incorporate severance across the entire world, across the entire globe, and to have everyone to be severed, and that could have terrible effects on everybody, disastrous effects, and it can maybe give people the ability to really manipulate and oppress billions. Because we learn that Lumon can control when to sever. When to give power to one, the Audi or the Innie. So they'll be if everyone gets
It's the
severed,
overtime protocol.
yeah, they can turn everyone off.
That's
There's-
I mean
yeah.
that's what these corporations are like right now. They could just lock
Yeah.
us all out of Instagram and just fuck our whole days up. And just,
Like you guys.
I
But
love
there's
that
something-
you think
It
that
could
that's a
happen
parallel. You're just like,
It
oh,
is,
fuck,
bro.
man.
Look, the
They
NBA
fucking
is slavery.
They
I'm
fucking
trying to
lock,
tell
they
you.
lock me
It's
out of my
Handmaid's
social
Tale.
media. It's fucking Severance.
Real
No,
talk,
but
though. Actually,
but it, right?
some people actually do live a different life on social
Yeah.
media. Like it's an escape. Like you have like this whole persona on social media that's not who you really are in everyday life. So,
But it
if
also
you
is a
actually
real
were to get
thing.
It's the more important. That's more important people than their real person than themselves. Yeah.
And I feel like we shouldn't discount that because I feel like there's a tinge of us being like, oh, that's not your real life. But like my view is social media shit is just as real as everything else. Like it's where people experience connection and learning and
Even
love
if
and
it's
all
a
that kind
persona.
of shit. Even if it's a persona. Even if it's a
I would
persona,
agree
it's still
with
something
you.
real.
Yeah.
It's perspective. I mean, that's where you are socially. That's where your mind is. So I mean, technically, yeah, it's just as real as the world for a lot of people.
Yep.
Sorry,
But
give
I
me
did
just
wanna-
split or just continue. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I did want to like make the distinction with what Eddie was saying. Like, I think that it's real even if what you're doing is a persona, because like I don't have an internet persona. Like I'm not a different person online. Like, that's not how I play this game. So, but I do think that even for the people who have a specific internet persona, those connections, those conversations, like, still 100% real.
Yeah,
and
it's
even
real.
the
It's
feeling
real
that
to
you
you.
get from it.
Yeah, it's real to you.
Like it triggers dopamine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's your internet innie. It's your innie on the internet.
It's the Audi.
It's the Audi.
They're the because they're
You're
the better
Audi,
version.
They're the innie.
The Audi is the
Might
better
just did
version.
something with this one, man.
Yeah.
The
We might
internet
need
is
to,
the
like-
innie. Or like
Somebody
it's
write
who
a
you
Medium
want to.
post
Internet
on
is
this,
the
man.
internet.
Social media, yeah. Social media is your Audi, and then
It's
you're
who
the
you want to
Innie.
be.
Yeah, it's the better version of yourself.
It's
Yeah.
it's who you are deep
Social
down.
media
If you
is
could
your
be.
Audi.
Yeah.
and then you're
And somebody
and,
written
Wow.
about this already.
and they're
Somebody
the
write
one.
this up.
They're the
Eddie,
one you. They're the one you cater to. You cater to your social presence. So you cater to your social media the same way that an indie caters to their Audi. Their
Yo,
big
you know some shit that was crazy? The apology room. That
Yeah.
shit is fucking terrifying because it was like non-violent. It was non-violent, but it was fucking torture that I think would drive any person insane.
Yeah, because you can't physically torture them.
Right, because their
Yeah.
body, or you can't do something that hurts their body because
Yeah.
their body is the
The
Audi's
Audis,
property.
yeah.
What about old boy's knuckles?
I wonder. They didn't show what happened, but they definitely did something. Well, I think because Milicic, he's a great character. They didn't show what happened to the Knuckles. He was in the room. But
Who's
Milicic, Marks, because he went into the apology room, and then there was that scene with Milicic, and then he was in the Audi version of himself explaining why his knuckles were bruised. But we didn't see we didn't see what happened. I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was a scene. I
Yeah,
feel like
they
they didn't show it.
They
No.
did not say anything about like how his
No.
knuckles got bruised. They were just bruised.
But I think it's Milicic because Milicic's a really fascinating character. He does, and the actor is really talented. He does this great fake nice, and he's just got nothing behind the eyes. He's got this smile, but the eyes aren't smiling. His heart's not in anything that he's saying, and there's a really great amount of
him in a very nondescript way.
but there's a darkness within him. Like you don't want to offend him. You don't want to set him off. And then there are hints like Mark says to Heli, like you don't want to get on his bad side. He says something like that.
Right.
You don't
we
want
haven't
Milicic
seen,
to
yeah.
use the
we haven't
bad
seen
soap.
his.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
things like
man,
that.
You don't want
that's
him to use
crazy.
the
What
bad
is that?
soap.
Yeah, it's those little hints. Those little hints make him terrifying.
And then the dance party where he's just like
He's, like,
breaking
letting off
down.
his steam.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a great performance. He's
Yeah.
awesome in it.
he's great.
The whole cast is phenomenal in the show. I think Adam Scott's awesome. It's like his first big leading role.
I didn't know
He's-
he had it in
He's
him.
great in Parks and Rec. He's in a bunch of movies, but he's never really had that big leading performance.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at movieposters.com. Use our special promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com to get 10% off your order today. They have a gigantic selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable in their arsenal, as well as a huge selection of all sorts of sizes, framing, and even backlighting. So whatever your poster needs are, they got you covered. We have a bunch of these posters on our set. They are high quality, the best posters money can pay for. Again, head on over to movieposters.com and use our promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today.
Raiders of the Lost podcast is also brought to you by our good friends at manscape.com, the leaders in men's grooming. Use our coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout from manscape.com. And guess what? You'll get 20% off and free shipping on your entire order. I gotta recommend getting their Boxer Briefs 2.0. It's my favorite product that they sell because they're so comfortable, they're so soft. They got a little extra space for your junk, which makes for a pleasant walking experience, working out experience. I highly recommend them. Also, Manscaped launched their Platinum 4.0 collection this year, which features their incredible Lawnmower 4.0 groomer. This thing has a built-in light. It's waterproof, 7,000 RPM motor. It is skin safe. It will not hurt you or pluck you or nothing down there. You can use this thing in the shower if you want. It has a wireless charger. This collection also comes with body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, deodorant, anti-chafing ball deodorant, spray toner, boxers, and a shed travel bag. So head on over to manscaped.com. Use our coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout. You got 20% off for free shipping worldwide.
Miss Cobell
Timothy
is
was a good one.
Thank you. I'll just real quick,
She's scary.
real quick. Was anybody else oddly turned on and attracted to Miss Cobell?
Let's Patricia
Oh,
Arquette, man.
she's a hottie. She's a
Patricia
hottie.
Arquette,
Ben, that's
yeah.
not oddly. Unironically, she's a
I know,
hottie.
I know
Yeah.
how you guys get down. I know that.
Unironically. Oh yeah. You,
That's all Anthony. That's all Anthony.
that's they
right?
going to
Okay,
Paris.
yeah.
They
Oh,
taking
yeah.
out. Yeah.
Have you ever seen True Romance?
Does that count as a threesome if y'all the same girl? Because genetically, you know what I mean? That's like a like a two and a half.
No, it's not happening at the same time. You can't. Nah.
Yeah.
The whole point of a
It's not
threesome
gay
is
if it's you.
Wait, are you talking about severed people or me and Anthony?
I'm talking about you and him.
Oh, that's gross, dude.
Well, okay, fair enough. Sorry.
no.
Let's
I
talk
realize
about severed people.
twins get fetishized a lot. I'm sorry, but I was just curious if y'all ever shared a person with that. What would that be? Is that a threesome? Is that something else? Is that
I don't even know what that
think
is.
math or like M and a half F? Yeah.
M squared F.
Hey, we are different souls. We're different consciousnesses, man. Come on.
We're severed, man.
Different. We're yeah.
We were severed at birth.
different people.
Yeah.
That would technically be a threesome. It'd be pretty weird, but that would be a threesome.
Yeah, no, it is incest. You're right.
That's another Medium post. Like, are twins really just severed individuals? Are they just severed souls?
We are
anomaly
severed.
Are we
They got to
copies
be
of each other in the
combined.
Matrix?
Came from
one
one
man with
cell.
two dicks,
One cell.
4 balls.
It started as one cell.
No, Miss Cobell is fine. Unironically,
Yeah.
the first I was like, oh no, yes, she's because she's so nice and different, and also a little bit. Yeah.
She's also an Oscar winner.
Yeah,
What's
she
her
was.
real name?
What did she win for?
Patricia.
She won for
Arquette.
Boyhood.
For Boyhood, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
she's
remember.
Oh
awesome.
yeah, bro. Boyhood.
Yeah.
Is
He
my
was
shit,
good in
man.
Boyhood. Yeah.
I cried like 5 times in that movie.
Boyhood
That's
was
a
good.
Yeah, awesome movie.
Linklater don't
Whatever my
miss.
version of crying is.
Yeah, Linklater's too. Yeah, Linklater only makes great films.
Teddy bear cheeks quivered.
Yeah.
The thing with Cobell and Milacek is their entire life is Lumon, and so they're like really invested in the cult-like aspect of Lumon Industries. It's kind of almost, it's like Handmaid's Tale, like a religious cult in a lot of ways, where 24/7 they are Lumon. She lives next door to Mark. She's constantly watching him. She has 2 personalities, but she's conscious. So like they are solely invested in Lumon, in Egon, spiritually and like religiously. It's really
Well, she
fascinating.
has to live next to him to make sure he doesn't find out about that his wife's alive. So she has to constantly
I feel like
monitor him.
What is the,
But
what is,
she takes it. Oh, spoilers.
wait,
That
what?
might be too much of a spoiler right there.
we said there'd be spoilers.
This
We're good.
is all season 1's.
Yeah, bro.
If
Yeah.
you watch the whole
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
All the episodes are there.
Yeah.
We warned
His
it.
wife is alive, and she's the fucking therapist. It's crazy.
therapist.
She's not even dead. What's going on?
So
that
they
means
need-
him
yeah.
and his wife are interacting in real life, but he thinks she's dead. Man, imagine being sad about your wife, but you see her every day. That's crazy.
Yeah. So she has to monitor him, make sure he doesn't get any clues to that. But she is taking it too far. She seems to have some kind of weird pull
I thought it was
towards
something
him.
deeper than that.
Yeah, she seemed like she likes him. Like she
Yeah.
has,
Oh,
like,
really?
She has some.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because then when Milacek finds out that she's nursing his sister's child, he's like she's crossing the line from what Lumen wants from her.
Is that why she's there? Because it to me it seemed like it seemed more sinister than like she's got this whole separate character of Miss what's her
Selvig.
her next door
Miss
neighbor
Selvig.
Miss Selvig is like that seems like too heavy a mode of surveillance. Like it seems like it's something deeper than just or like why is
No, I think it's because
keeping his wife separate like why like what's going on? What's the conspiracy here? I don't know.
It's the real test of Severance's proof of concept is to see if a married couple could not recognize each other if they interact for 2 years straight. Because there's a couple of lines in the latter half of the later scenes of the show where they're so satisfied with the fact that he and she have not recognized each other inside the office. So it's a real proof of concept.
Yeah, but
Right.
then
Do you
even
think-
before that, though, there was a question that was asked, like, do you think love can transcend severance? And the guy was like, nope, I don't. But they still had, at least from Miss Casey, she still said that those 8 hours was like the best time of her life
Yeah.
while working at Lumen, even though she didn't realize that Mark was her husband.
100%.
It was just something about being in that room.
There
with
was some
them that-
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, Miss Cobell, she's acting erratically because she's like afraid of. She's being controlled by the people above her, the people on the phone. So like
The
she's,
board.
the board. She's acting erratically, and it's her and Milacek. It's 24/7. They're outside of work. They have to do it too. So it's really interesting how much of their lives are just completely devoted entirely to Lumen.
I think
Yeah, she's got that little shrine at her house too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Milchick might have messed up the worst though, like even
Oh,
worse than
yeah.
Miss Cobell or Miss Silvic, because he turned the old boy on outside, which led to a whole
Fucked up everything because now
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
knows that it exists. As shit.
Exactly.
He knows he has kids. Yeah.
No, I think he did that without authorization.
100%.
You think that was a fuck up? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the weird thing, because like it would have took 2 people. Like, but
And because he was physically there, so this whoever works in the security room did
With
it.
somebody
and-
else because he was on the phone.
Yeah, because he was actually in the closet.
Oh,
But
it
there
must have been
was
2
only-
staff
there's
members then.
only one, but that's the weird thing about it. Like, where's the other staff member? Because after the actual head of security, he left. There was nobody else around in security. Like, so who was the second person that was in that room to turn the switch on?
Yeah.
Wait, so if there was one person for security, then there's the receptionist, not receptionist, the assistant, for instance.
So there's a couple of things. The girl is always on the phone.
Black girl.
Always with the phone with the board. She fires.
Cobell's.
Yeah.
Yeah, she fires Miss Cobell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem.
So-
that doesn't seem like her.
So there are a couple of things that
Yeah,
are
you're right. So
I
you
have
think it's
a
another
little-
person, another secret person?
I think so. But what were you gonna say, Anthony?
There's a couple of things that I have a small issue with the show. It's like a little plot armor. That's one. Also, the fact that Milacek, after they built that huge door to keep them locked in the room, and then Irving got out so easily, then they didn't do anything to figure out how they were getting out of that room, and that led to them being able to escape. That was another moment where I was like, I mean, there was no protocol to try and figure out how they got out of the office again, and I felt like they should have definitely been like on their ass of like how that even happened.
Yeah.
Some of their
was a lot of
roaming
plot
seems
holes in
intentional, though. Like the level of freedom they allow them seems semi-intentional because I'm like they're sneaking all around. Like him and Heli are sneaking all around the compound, and you're thinking they're sneaking, but like they're on camera the entire time.
Yeah.
So like, are they really
With
even
audio.
sneaking with audio? So I'm like, I think them escaping they didn't realize because they didn't know that they had planned the overtime thing.
Yeah.
But I think them moving freely within the space is maybe part of the plan.
Yeah, because
But they're supposed to discover the goats or whatever.
she's watching them half the time.
Yeah. What are the goats,
Well,
you
Miss-
think?
Imagine if you're the Sever employee and like you just take care of baby goats all day.
Yeah, right.
You would be like, man, what is life?
I know, like,
They ain't ready. Get the fuck out of here.
And your Audi's life is just trash. Your wife is dead or whatever, and you're just taking care of baby goats all day.
I wonder. There's a lot of questions that need to be
maybe they're
answered.
clones. Maybe they're cloning people too. Maybe that's a little foreshadow of that.
It's the prestige.
Oh, you think
So
the goats?
Maybe, yeah.
It's a prestige, man. It's like the Rick and Morty. Everything about this just gives me Rick and Morty episode vibes. The Vat of Acid episode. So that's why I brought that up. But yeah, it's all prestige.
Prestige.
Oh, like the movie?
Makes sense.
I could
I
see
haven't
that.
seen the prestige.
Oh, it's a great
God,
movie.
you should check
Very
it out.
good.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's a great
Very
movie.
good.
One of Nolan's most underrated. But I think the finale of the show is incredible. I was just on the edge of my seat.
Oh,
and they're
great
all
tension.
the innies are on the outside world Mark's trying to talk to his sister, and then Heli's she's going to give a speech. She thinks she's going to end Severance, and it's just incredible. And I screamed at the end of it. It was a great ending, great climax, huge cliffhanger. But also, the opening credits of this show are phenomenal. I watch it every single time.
Three
It
is
is-
crazy.
is-
Yeah.
They did such a great job. The music, but the animation and the concepts, it's sensational. I think it's one of the best opening credits I've ever seen for a show.
Yeah, I
like
wonder if
that.
it's the animation guy who does David Fincher's movies.
Maybe does he work at Apple TV?
I don't know.
It gave me Beeble crap like vibes. If you guys know that artist,
No.
I don't think so.
he's like the guy who did he sold like the most expensive NFT. He sold it for like 39 million or some crazy shit like that. He's like a visual artist.
Jesus.
But yeah. Like it was like one of the few NFTs that was sold in like the high art market. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't sold on like the usual. It was like sold along like Basquiat's and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like not Smithsonian, but it was like a fancy. Like even when you go to the website, you're like, oh, this is different level of NFTs. This is like rich people
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, like $40 million for his like NFT. But what I was gonna say is that ending scene. What I loved about it is because like most shows or movies like really kind of they fuck up those situations of like I need to tell you a secret and it's a really important one and I'm going to tell you in just a moment, but not before. And it's like they do all
Then
this bullshit
something
build up,
happens.
but
Yeah.
I hated that.
yeah, something happens to cut it off. But in this, they made it make sense because he doesn't know where he is, who his friends are, what he can say, and who he can say to what. So he's like trying to figure out with the limited unknown amount of time that he has how much information he can gather and give and who to trust. So like the way they paced everything was like perfect because every character was trying their fastest to figure out their situation without fucking themselves up. And it was just I was on the edge of my seat
I
the whole
didn't
time.
feel that
Yeah.
way. I didn't
Okay.
feel that way. I thought it was drawn out. Like
He was
that
taking
was
too
my
long?
only problem. Yeah, that was my only problem with the show. Like I felt like certain things was like too drawn out, and it was like too. Yeah, it was just too drawn out in certain aspects. Because if I was Mark in that situation, he knew that was his sister. Like when he found out that was his sister,
Yes.
like he could trust her. He's still like, oh yeah,
Yes.
don't worry about it. It's a couple more minutes. Well, we're gonna read the book. We're gonna read an entire chapter of a book, and then take a 7-minute break, and then you're gonna go burp your baby.
No, but he- I
And
mean,
then
he
come back
kind of
so I
already-
can tell you this life-changing secret. Nah. I would have a little bit more urgency about my
True.
shit.
He should have done the life changing secret first. I thought that he did.
Yeah.
But Mark's kind of a passive guy, and he's kind of just he's not like an assertive person. I think it's I think
wasn't-
that
he was
kind
taking
of
too long, yeah.
I think that's kind of suited his personality, especially the any version of him.
But also,
Why did he
plot.
say my wife is alive? Like, why did he have to say it in the vaguest possible language, screaming it to the room in a way that people would be like, "Who's alive?"
I don't even think he said. I think yeah, she's alive.
But then again, his sister would know who he was talking about. So actually, I
Yeah.
think that's probably not that.
I
big.
think- yeah, I
Because
think
his
the
sister was
sis-
like, I showed him a picture of his
Yeah.
wife, and then she said, "She's alive," so that he'll know.
She's gonna have a major part to play. Do you guys think that the wife is actually just always like somewhere else, or is she maybe put under when she's not in any?
I think she might be in on it, or she might be in something. I don't. Yeah, she might be in on it because I'm wondering, like, maybe they're both in on it, like on some Heli or shit. Like, but maybe both he and his wife underwent this as part of the testing, and they always worked for Lumen or some crazy shit like that.
Really?
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Because like if you can sever someone, you could probably skip a couple of things. So you could be like, okay, look, this is my wife. We love each other. What we're gonna do is create a situation where we both think each other have died. Then we're gonna undergo severance and see whether or not we fall in love again. And like I could see something like that being.
Would
what
you go
happens.
for that though? Like let's like.
I don't know if I'd
unpack
like
that.
it, but it could work.
Okay.
But it
See, I-
would make Mark so unlikable because it would make
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
like Heli R.
I
Yeah.
feel like she. Yeah.
And I
feel
still
like she's
think
a
that
prisoner.
the trying it with a married couple is the ultimate test of the severance working. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. So I could see them both because how do you fool some like I'm just trying to think of what would be the situation where a man's spouse died and you were able to fake the death.
My guess is
And at that moment swoop in with severance, like why him? Like why was he picked for that situation? You know what I mean?
Maybe he sought it out.
maybe he doesn't have. Maybe they eliminated his memory.
Which means that you would have had to preemptively know that his wife was going to die in order to create the situation.
I
You
get.
see what I'm saying?
I get.
And
what
then
you
for him to actually
It would've had
choose
to
to
be
be
connected
severed.
to
Yeah.
I would say the wife. Yeah.
Preemptively fake the death or
Yeah.
swoop in when she like maybe she got injured and they like took her body and was like, cool, we can sever you, but then they on some RoboCop shit severed her
Yeah.
as well, kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be either one of those, or maybe they set up the entire fake accident. Maybe because we don't see anything, no memories. Maybe the car
They're
burnt
secret
up.
agents like that.
Yeah, maybe the car got burnt up, so there's no evidence of her or whatever. Maybe they got a fake body. So there's a lot of things they could have done. I think your plan could work too, but I think that the wife is maybe being held captive by Lumen, and the Audi's being held captive, and then the Innie obviously doesn't have any idea of what's going on outside of the office.
Yeah, maybe she's in any or maybe she's like her other, like, because you could, I bet you could probably like double up the innies. You know what I'm saying?
An innie inside an innie.
Yeah.
maybe.
So maybe she
Inception.
never has an Audi. So it's like innie, and then she switches to another innie that works somewhere else, and her
But-
Audi is gonna wake up like 5 years in the future, like, oh my god, my husband, I'm not dead, like, you know, kind of a situation.
But
Like,
also
her
she's-
Audi's just been off for mad long.
She says that she only gets woken up very few times, just for the job that she has of the what do you call it, the therapy room. That's the only time she gets woken up. She's not there all day. So I think that the Audi her has like lives a lot more time than the Innie her does.
Which is-
odd that
which
she
is
knows
crazy
the amount of
because
time
she-
that she's-
Well, you would know how often you're. Oh wait, or would you?
You wouldn't know.
How would you
wouldn't.
know how long
You'd
you're
have
up?
no
Because you're
idea
up for forever.
unless you just have to be told about it.
Yeah, because she says to him,
Yeah, they have to be telling
she's
you.
she's like, I'm only woken up a few times just for these moments to do this hour-long session or 30-minute session with people here. She said that's the only time when she's woken up.
I guess you would be able to feel the like jumps. Like even if it didn't feel like any time passed, you'd be like, "Oh, I was facing this way before. Now I'm facing the
Yeah,
other way, and I'm dressed
yeah.
differently." You would know, like, "Oh, I must have skipped time, so that must have been a day. I've only been awake for 8 hours."
Yeah.
But her Audi has to be being held captive or is in on it,
It's a double.
or isn't
Or
awake,
It's a double. Yeah, it's
or it's a double any.
I'm feeling that one.
I like that.
Because otherwise, she would be like, "Where is my husband?"
I think she thinks her husband is dead.
But where
I
is
don't.
she?
I
Because they
don't-
live in the
I
same
think
city.
I think she's being held captive by Lumen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you
Yeah.
on that one, Tones. I think she's been held captive and probably not even like awake like that.
She could be sedated. Yeah.
Drugged out.
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale, man. I'm telling y'all, it's all
Yeah.
one universe. It's all together.
They're really connected. Yeah, it's just different types of oppression.
Yeah.
The Severance MCU. Fucking.
The Hulu and Apple verse. Yeah, that movie, that show with Jason Momoa, C is also part
C.
of it. Like,
It's a prequel.
It's a prequel.
that's a prequel. Yeah, people stopped. They couldn't see no more, and then they couldn't fuck no more, and then they started severing themselves.
And then they couldn't remember anymore.
Then they didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
Coming back full circle.
Would y'all ever undergo something like Severance?
I wouldn't do it.
I don't think so
No.
because I feel like it makes you less of a human being if you don't have your consciousness for the entirety of being alive. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think with it, and I thought about it a lot, like pretty deeply. And my biggest issue of like working is like it's not the aspect of being at work, it's the loss of time. So like I'd still like, and I mean like the physical aspect of losing time, because I know like there's the aspect of like time as a social construct, and I've kind of like thought through that a little bit too. But like physically, like you do lose time. So I think that's my issue with working, not like physically being at work, not doing my job like that. I honestly don't mind that much. It's just that like I'd rather be doing something else with that block of time, and I still wouldn't be able to do anything else with that block of time. I'd still be losing it.
Yeah,
physically.
you're right. It's still the same amount of time. You're just having to experience. But I don't know, man. I feel like some stuff, because again, that Severance technology.
waiting in line,
obviously
like the
being-
outside
waiting in
world,
line,
like Severance.
childbirth,
Yeah, like,
surgery,
that's-
whatever. Like
Yeah, but could you let someone else suffer?
that's what my issue
Yeah.
is. If you could turn me off, cool. But I don't know if I could create another man who eats all of my suffering, like on some,
Yeah.
that thought experiment where they put the child in a room and they just like fuck him up all day and it makes the town happy or whatever. Like I feel like I couldn't do that to somebody, and it would be doing it to somebody. So what?
I'm not familiar with that experiment.
No, sorry, it's a thought experiment, not a real experiment.
Oh.
Like they didn't beat no
They're
kid
not
up in real life.
I was like,
Like I ain't know where they doing that at. Where they torturing kids to make a
Fuck 'em
town?
up all day and make
That's
everybody happy.
in Finland.
Yeah,
That's the Nordic model.
That's how it starts right there. Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's
Already
Tale.
knows.
Damn, like,
again.
so it's the NBA all over again. No, so the thought experiment goes, morally speaking, if there were a town that was perfect, everyone, like nobody needed to work, everybody enjoyed themselves, everybody was fulfilled completely, not just, happy, but like truly fulfilled, and everybody got along and everything was perfect. But in order for that town to exist of, I don't know, 20,000, 100,000 people, there had to be one child in the town whose entire life was torture and neglect, and they never got to experience happiness. Would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to trade everyone's ultimate joy and happiness for the extreme suffering of one person? Is
No
kind
way.
of the idea.
No way.
Yeah, and so and a lot of people answer that way, and so
Yeah.
that's what the Severance thing kind of made me think. Like, would I be willing to trade my happiness for this other person who I create through this process for their total suffering? And I'm like, I don't know if I could do that to my man. You know what I'm saying?
Then it's still yes, it's still you. Like so, I mean,
It's
would
still
you
kinda me.
Do that to yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's like a
I'm-
clone.
yeah.
It's like like
Yeah.
it's like those like in sci-fi when you get teleported but they forget to erase the first one kind of situations, or like some
Yeah.
Mauler twins shit from like Invincible. It's like, at what point is this still you? Even though it feels like it's you, is it still that kind of stuff?
And also, it's like
Prestige.
it's like this gives people the ability to eliminate.
Oh no, yeah. Sorry, I forgot
yeah,
what the
Prestige.
prestige, how the prestige
Yeah.
worked. It's the prestige, yeah.
Yeah.
Cover your ears. He hasn't seen it. Spoilers.
But I'm a firm
Spoiler
believer.
alert for a 20-year-old movie. Like,
Man, I see. That's where I disagree on the spoiler shit. Anything that's not like Star Wars, like Luke, I am your father shit. Anything, and sorry for anybody who hasn't seen it. Anything, you still shouldn't spoil it, because how am I supposed to watch every movie that's over 20 years old? There's so many movies. Like, I think you still spoiler alert everything.
that's not even the big twist in Prestige, by the way. I just want to let everybody know.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
it's-
not
Nah, yeah.
Yo, yeah, you're
That
right.
is
There's
not
a
the
second
twist.
twist. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's
I
like
didn't
3
see
twists,
Fight Club
man.
and-
There's like
I
3
didn't
There's a
see
twists.
bunch.
Fight Club until like 10 years after it came out, and like when I watched it, I was like, holy shit, I get it why this is a classic. And
Yeah.
I never saw the
Wait.
ending coming.
And had nobody spoiled it for you?
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's awesome.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what the culture needs to be. Like, you can't watch everything that's like 20 years old. There's thousands of movies. Like, yeah, don't spoil old movies.
Here's a question that I think the show poses that is pretty interesting. Is so Severance, it gives people the ability. Do you think it would be it's healthy if you could to eliminate suffering from your life, whether it be trivial suffering, intense suffering? Do you think that's healthy for people to just eliminate suffering like completely?
Strong yes. Strong yes.
I
How
It
are
could
we
be-
defining suffering?
Discomfort, not being satisfied with something,
Being too cold.
being too cold, being bored, waiting in line, all sorts of discomforts. Not just
Shopping.
not extreme suffering only, but like all forms of suffering. Because I think
Extreme suffering,
Tooth
yes.
pain.
yeah, extreme suffering, yes, but like you like talking about like I'd use it so I didn't have to wait in line or to get rid of like these little moments I don't want to experience.
Skip every fucking thing. I'd
See-
skip everything.
See, I
Your
don't.
life would go by so fast, though.
Yeah, but and also I think
It's
that
going by fast anyway.
I think that
It's
some
half suffering.
Shit
Your
slow.
life
Like-
goes
Shit's
so
slow,
fast
bro.
if you just-
yeah, but life's not
Slow
meant to be.
suffering.
Skip all the suffering, I mean.
Like, think
yeah.
think how sad that is. I want to suffer so I can just kind of chill for a little bit longer in
You wanna
existence.
enjoy
Man,
it. You
fuck
wanna
all that.
enjoy life.
I want to do the joy.
No, but-
a solid 20 years versus like 70 years with a bunch of bullshit in it. Give me the 20.
I don't think that life is meant to be just perfect and like drinking a pina colada on the beach and just enjoying the comforts of
Strong disagree.
of great. I think that
I'll trade that in every day.
certain forms of suffering, especially certain forms of discomfort, can really build a person into a better version of themselves
I don't need
and
to be
character.
built.
Okay.
Built
Real
for
quick,
what?
Real quick, though,
Why
I
do we
think
need
it-
to
I-
be built? The reason you
I
get
think
built
it
is so you
goes-
could do great shit. If I'm sipping pina
No,
coladas, I'm already doing great shit.
Nah, bro.
No,
because,
you're
like,
you're
there's a-
experiencing great shit.
You're not contributing to the society, though.
But even
Yeah.
doing great shit is. Sorry, Josh, you were about to say something.
But like, I think it just kind of goes back to the Handmaid's Tale situation with Serena, how she architected this whole plan just to make the world a better place, but she ended up being the one that was suffering for it. I think if we removed every single aspect of suffering or just mild discomfort, I think that would come back and bite us like somehow. Like I think we're already.
Oh, how so?
I already think humans are terrible as a fucking race. But
Yeah,
I
fuck
think
those
if we
guys.
had that, I think
Let's
we'd just
eliminate
be
them.
even worse. Like we would kill ourselves, like in some way, shape, or form, like in some.
There
Yeah,
never
look.
been any invention. Necessity is the mother of invention. If we never had any suffering, nothing would ever improve.
And also, I feel like you wouldn't have any. There wouldn't be any meaning in life, and you wouldn't have any. Like nothing would really mean anything if you don't know the negative aspect, the negative side to everything. Like you can't really like
Everybody.
like
Nah.
the pina colada on the beach tastes so great because you know how hard life can be and how lucky you are to have that.
That's true.
Why do motherfuckers keep saying this?
Because it's true. It's true, motherfucker. That's why.
Bullshit.
Every,
Everybody always. No. Let me try and because I know nobody agrees with me on this, but we constantly say that like suffering is what's needed to give texture and richness to the joy in our life. No, what y'all are describing is gratitude, and you don't need suffering to have gratitude because there are plenty of people who suffer and aren't grateful for the joyful parts of their life, and there are people who are grateful without that suffering. Like, this idea that you need suffering is only the result of the fact that we can't avoid suffering, so we try and rationalize it.
But
But there's
don't
no
you-
way to not have it.
Don't you think?
You
Don't
can
you?
you can
yeah.
100% avoid severe suffering. You can 100 even like the most mundane stuff that you've done. The only thing that like
And people
I'm just-
people don't avoid it. Oh, sorry, people do avoid it when they can. Nobody's going, yeah, you know what? I'd like to lose a kid because that would build character. They only rationalize it after the fact
No,
and go,
and
no,
I wanna-
these,
and I wanna
these
be very
painful
clear.
situations create a strong person.
Yeah, I want to be very clear. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, if you
Okay.
want to skip some stuff about like childbirth or like losing a child, cool. I've been very clear that like extreme suffering. Yeah, I'm saying like,
Little shit.
oh man, I don't want to read this book, for class. Oh man, I don't want to wait in line an extra 5 minutes. Oh man, like
I don't want to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think I
See,
think
no,
that's
wait.
I think that's a pointless skip.
No, see,
Like, I
okay.
do think
So
that
let me
stuff
make
builds
a caveat to my point because what you're saying is different than what Anthony is saying. because he's talking about whether or not suffering is sort of needed for joy, and you're kind of making an argument for whether or not like adversity and suffering are needed to like achieve things. So I would say
No, I'm making both arguments. No,
I agree with both. Yeah, I agree with him.
Yeah,
Okay,
me
both.
and Anthony are on the same page. Me and Anthony are on the
Okay.
same page. I just want to make sure me and you are on the same page.
Okay, I disagree on both, so I'll address one after the other then. So
Gotcha.
I would make a caveat to mine and change kind of what I'm saying. I think that there is hard work, and sometimes we look at that and view that as suffering. I would still choose to do hard, unpleasant things, even if I could skip everything. Like, I wouldn't skip necessarily working out or trying a difficult thing or trying to do a climbing wall or trying to do something painful in service of a thing because I'm getting pleasure simultaneously. Like, that's a pleasure pain experience, trying to do something difficult. But I don't think that waiting in line, or even for the example of working out, if you could skip to the end where you have the result, I don't think that the hard work in doing that is necessarily needed if you actually can achieve the goal without the suffering. There
Well,
can be some where you can't.
Struggling to do something is a form of
Joy
discomfort.
and pleasure at the same time.
I would say struggling to do something is a form of discomfort. It's not necessarily suffering, especially if you believe in what you're doing, but it's not like it's easy, especially if it's a hard task, something taxing.
So I would just
So it is. It's not
I would
like
just
it's,
include
it's not
that
like
in things that I would keep. So I essentially agree with y'all. Like those things I wouldn't count as suffering because I'm like me doing something hard in order to achieve something that I want to do. I don't really. It is suffering, but I don't really count it exactly as suffering. That's adversity.
So I count that as a form of suffering. It's a form of suffering.
I
It's
get
minimal.
it. Yeah. So if we say that one, I would
Yeah.
agree with y'all.
Yeah.
A person would I would probably choose to keep that as well.
And also-
discomfort, but yeah.
I'm a firm believer that every single moment and second of your life shapes who you are in your moment of your life right now. And I think if you don't have that, I feel like you don't have half of that, and then you're not really a full person if that's wiped clean completely. I think you need to experience every single thing to be a complete person, to be who you are, or else you won't.
What's included in every single thing? Because we already in our regular lives skip suffering. Like every time you decide to eat healthy or use Uber instead of cooking or whatever, you're skipping suffering. Like, and it just creates a new person. So if I skip other suffering through severance, I'm just this new person without those experiences. I'm not a less person.
I think you mean eliminating memories.
There's no set
I had
amount
those
of suffering in a
experiences
human
at
life.
some
Check this out though. Well, what if you just create more suffering by trying to skip said suffering or discomfort?
Ooh, yeah. And also, I think we run into the problem
You
of
know,
like
I know, but I'm saying that's a different. Now we're talking about you actually can't escape any suffering. So
You
now
can't.
we're still
It's
trying.
life, baby.
Okay. Well,
And
then,
if-
look,
it's
if that's the argument, then you're just saying that the initial question is just impossible, which is okay, fair. That would is
And
different.
We're
from,
talking. We're
would you
talking
skip
about
suffering?
a technology that isn't possible anyway. So like,
Yeah,
it's
No,
impossible.
but
Like,
that's a totally completely
no, it's
different.
not. We're
level.
talking
That's
about what we
totally
would do
different.
in a fictional universe. We're talking about what we would do in a fictional universe.
But we're saying even if you had the technology to skip suffering, Joshua's argument is that even if you could skip a suffering experience, you would never be able to skip all of it. That's a different argument than whether or not the technology is possible. That's nothing.
And if a person lived their lives and only lived comfort and only lived in pleasure, would they never be able to be fully satisfied if they're always living in comfort?
No, bro. Why we keep saying this? Like if I can do new good shit all the time. I'm telling you.
How would you know?
Give me the
literally
shit and I'll never get bored. I promise.
How would
I
you
promise
know
you I'll
if
never
you
get
have
bored.
nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Thing, like I
Exactly.
have-
But when
All of
you
your
get
okay,
hold
all of
on,
your joy,
hold on.
all of your joy is comparison.
You'll become
You
dissatisfied.
can, but there's,
All-
but, that,
all
but
of
it's
your
all
joy
relative.
is
It's all relative.
It's like a spoiled kid. It's like a
Fine,
spoiled
it says
kid.
when you dip below this is now suffering. And so if all of your shit is up here, there's still comparison. Like if you're getting your dick sucked, you're not going, "Ooh, this sure is better than that car crash." You're going, "This is better than not getting my dick sucked." So
That's
I'm not
what-
skipping the
what do you
not
call it?
getting my dick sucked time.
What do you something fallacy? What was it? An equivalent, a
one?
false fallacy.
False equivalency.
A false
the
equivalency,
equivalency on
yeah.
that hoe is false. Yeah.
the
okay.
equivalency on that whole is false. Like, bro, like you,
Okay,
yo,
talk to me.
those you can't. That don't even make sense. Like,
Well, you could compare that to not having to
But you
being
compare
rejected.
to regular shit,
Yeah.
not like suffering.
Well, being rejected
You
by
don't
a
need
woman.
pain to compare joy. You can compare joys to different levels of joys.
You
Sorry.
can compare that to like being rejected by a woman, and that could be like the suffering, and that could be the thing that you can compare that to.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, because I mean, or hell, even just like on a general level, like think about anybody's favorite drink or your favorite alcoholic drink, your favorite wine. Why is that your favorite wine? Because you've had other wines that did not taste that good. But if you've always had
Or tasted
that one
different.
particular wine, if you've always had the
I can have
same
beer.
wine, how would you know it's that great?
Because I've had beer. I can do different shit. Like, it doesn't have to be like, if I can say, okay, so same and same, I'll try and avoid a false equivalency. I'm having wine, and earlier in the day, I was not having wine. That's all that's needed for a comparison. I don't need to have had drunk piss water or had suffering or any of. I could just go, I'm chilling, not having wine. Wine. That's
Okay.
that's different and better than the not having wine.
This is
and
an
I could have been doing.
extension.
Okay.
This is an extension. So I don't want it to be like, oh, this is a false equivalency thing, because I want
Okay.
to be understand that I'm not saying that this is what anybody said. This is an extension.
Okay.
I'm saying
But no.
now in this extension conversation that like you can't get the utmost joy without comparison of something that's a negative,
Yeah.
not necessarily a
Okay.
baseline. For example, I have to have shitty wine to fully appreciate my favorite wine. So like I can have a wine that I'm like,
Okay.
"Ah, you know, it's an okay wine.
I think I
And,
can
like I
agree
can
with that.
have like my like I can
I think
have
I
like
can
my
agree with
my wine that I like better than this one that's kind of okay. I'm not gonna fully appreciate
Actually,
exactly how
I
good my
disagree.
favorite is
I-
if I
okay.
don't have something that's at least below good.
I think that we're discounting the practice of gratitude. So I agree. I think that suffering attenuates, I don't know if that's the right word, your joy in a way that it allows it to be greater, but there are other tools that can do the same thing.
Potentiate
So
is what you meant. The opposite.
What did I say?
You said
Potentiate?
Attenuate.
And I should have said potentiate?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sounded
accentuate?
good.
It
Or
sounded
accentuate.
good.
Accentuate also works. Accentuate
Wait,
also works.
but which word did you say,
said-
Alvin?
Potentiate. It's like
Potentiate. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Adding,
potentiate.
synergy. Yeah.
Attenuate, got it. So it can potentiate your joys, but like a solid gratitude practice can do the same thing. Being like mindful and grateful about a given experience that you're having, not as like interpreted through suffering, can also give you a much more fulfilling experience of a thing. So that's one point I would make. The second point that I would make is lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's the first point I'd make.
Gratitude is very important.
Bullshit.
100%.
So I feel like you could do that kind of thing. Oh, my other point was going to be that like a bunch of suffering, like the net benefit that all of the suffering in your life has in increasing the perceived like joy of other parts, I don't think is necessarily worth its weight if you have a life of just straight joy all the time. Like I think we're rationalizing it because we know it would be very impossible to get rid of most suffering, but I think given the choices, I think most people would do it. Like
I think a lot of people would do
we
it
just
too.
know we can't, so we have to go, oh, this waiting in line is actually going to make my wine taste better. It's like, yeah, it will, but it's not worth the waiting in line. The wine would still be pretty fucking good, especially if you're thankful for it.
But can you have gratitude if you are only experiencing
Yes.
positivity?
That was my point. I don't think
Yes.
I don't think you're fully. I
Think-
don't think you're fully.
think
grateful
about it,
for
yeah.
it if you haven't experienced
Like-
it.
Because all you
A
know, all you
spoiled
know,
kid.
all you
Your
know is
pineal glands is calcified. That's Western thinking, bro.
Think
you
about
can,
a
you can have
spoiled
gratitude.
kid. You can never satisfy a spoiled kid. It's nothing's ever enough for a spoiled
Right.
Because
child.
spoiled kids aren't taught get gratitude practices.
Me and
Bro.
Jimmy.
Yeah,
That's
because
what
because
spoiled
they never
is.
suffer.
Exactly.
Spoiled is.
Punishment is a form of suffering. Discipline's a form of suffering. You know, being told no is a form of suffering to a kid.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Like,
Just
you
skip that
can't-
shit.
Then you create a monster.
I'm telling
Then you create a
y'all.
monster. That is Dudley
No.
Dursley from Harry Potter. Dudley
Right,
Dursley.
you won't have a-
Okay, we'll see. We gonna see. y'all got something else.
because he's a fucking psychopath. That's why. It's like, don't ever tell me no.
Why would you do that? Why would you
I'm
need to
hitting
do that?
overgoal.
What would that be for? What's the purpose of
You know
that?
who I am?
Do you not get it?
Oh my
No, skip
God.
that shit. Delete that. Fast forward. Fuck that. Skip ad. This is boring. I don't want to see. I don't want to see any of this. Next chapter. Fast forward. 1.75 speed. I'm not interested. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This-
So what I'm saying is suffering is not just something horrible, but there's different levels of suffering that inform us as people and human beings.
Yeah, everything's a spectrum.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about to.
suffering experience that I'm going to be gaming.
I think that wraps our episode on Severance.
Yeah.
That
was good. We stopped talking about it like a half hour ago. Thanks for coming on the podcast, guys. Waving the red flag. Find them on all audio platforms, Instagram as well, TikTok. You guys on YouTube as well, or no?
Yes, sir.
YouTube as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Follow us on YouTube first. Waving the Red Flag Podcast on YouTube.
And we were on their show also in August, so check that one out. We talked about The Handmaid's Tale, hence all the references.
Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show.
That was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
That was great.
Yes, thank you very much for having us.
All righty,
Thank you,
take
Patricia.
care.
And thanks for coming through before. Very much appreciated.
Of course.
Had a fun time.
Jimbo
Learned a bunch of
Bones,
stuff 'cause y'all
always
had the
good to
facts.
see you.
The boys.
They come prepared with the list. They
Like
had to
that
sit-
list. I was like, I'm gonna get him with this list right here. You ready? I got 12 rules. I got 15 laws.
We're so much less structured than you guys.
You guys, yeah, but you guys have a different kind of show, though. You guys have a different kind of show.
For sure.
Different
Yeah.
styles. All right,
We're two different. We're severed. Innies and outies.
Severed. Yeah.
Two parts of the same thing. We're all one, as Josh has educated me on. Sometimes we're all part of Source Energy.
All is
So we're
one,
really
one
kind
is
of
all.
all. It's 7 billion severed people, but we're all one person. You know what I'm saying?
Weird. Yeah, you can look at
Yeah.
it like that. Absolutely.
This episode of Raiders of the Lost podcast was executive produced by our chosen one patrons: Luke Exelston, Tyler McFly, Darren Singleton, Anthony DeMeo, John Agraz, Becca Keene, Cody Moen, Calvin Cam, and Lauren Smertz. Thank you for watching Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, notifications for sure. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you can listen to podcasts, and be sure to check out this other content we have on our YouTube channel.